Hi, Kelly.
Hi, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm I took Theraflu.
You feeling any better?
No, Theraflu. Well, I let me qualify that. I feel much better right now because Theraflu, it's the first time in my life I've ever taken it, and
Hmm.
it gets rid of
Oh
it
my
clears
gosh.
up congestion.
Yep.
You're never gonna believe who's it. Can you see who's in the waiting room or just me?
No, just you.
Lucia,
Oh my gosh. Oh,
right?
oh my gosh.
Oh my, like as soon as I saw that, I'm like, wow,
How did she find out about this?
I have no idea.
Wow.
Because it
Okay.
literally just got sent to alumni.
Wow.
And I have to wait for Christina. There was a woman by the name of Gwen Rudnick from class of 90 who doesn't have the link. So hopefully Christina
Okay.
comes soon and she can send me, because the only link I have right now is our link.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you for being here. And I
Well,
have a
my
couple.
it's my incredible pleasure. I'm very humbled and kind of overwhelmed, but it will be nice. Yeah, those were some of those questions were really thoughtful and it made me reflect on all of these years, and so you know.
So before Dr. Silber died, I asked him why he never wrote a memoir, like even just about his time at BU. And he looked at me and he said, "Who'd read that?" I said, "Are you kidding me?" So it's almost like he controlled his death. He was writing a book on Immanuel Kant. I
Mm.
mean, Silber was a philosopher.
Oh, yes, he was.
I looked at him and I said, "Who the heck's going to read another book on Kant? Like, what can you write on Kant that somebody else hasn't already written? Who's going to buy that? People will buy your memoir."
That's
Um,
true.
so if you have free time, I think that you should write a book.
About my experiences.
Yes, just from this, from like, so what year did you start in? 1970?
79. I always wondered where you were. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Oh, oh. Jana, oh my gosh. Oh, hi, Carrie. Hi, Kristen. Hi, Jana. Oh, hello, my friend Bob.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. I couldn't miss this.
Oh my gosh. Oh, oh,
Okay, so welcome everybody. Thank you so much for being here. We're 2 minutes into opening our fireside chat, and my cheeks already hurt from smiling. I was afraid tonight, was I going to smile or was I going to cry? And I just told Debbie there may be a few tears because I'm not ready for her to end her career. So thank you for joining us. Everybody knows our guest of honor, one of the greatest people, in my opinion, that has ever worked at Sargent College. I wouldn't be who I am today if it weren't for Debbie. So I've got a few questions that I just want to ask Debbie about her career. If you have questions for Debbie, we did get the questions that you had submitted in the registration link. I've incorporated those into our talk tonight. We will definitely save time at the end to talk. If you have questions as the talk goes on, you're welcome to type them into the chat and we will answer them as appropriate, either live during the talk or at the end. So Deb, thank you. For those of you that may not know Debbie as much as I do, Debbie is the Assistant Director of Academic Services at Sargent College. She's been at Sargent since 1979. And her last day will be on December 23rd, 2021, where she gets to begin the next chapter and has promised that she will stay in touch. So Deb, first question, what inspired you to work at Sargent? How did you first hear about a job at Sargent?
Okay, wow. Um, Way back when, I wasn't sure whether I wanted to go into education or I wanted to go into theater. So part of my idea was to come into Boston and start, doing theater and taking classes as well as look for a job in higher education. And so actually an administrative assistant position opened up in the Academic Services Center, which was called the Student Academic Support Services initially. And so I took it. And I really wasn't sure, for a few years. And I was taking theater classes, but I think what finally made me decide to, have my musical and theater talents on the side was that I loved the community of Sargent College. I loved the fact that it came from long traditions, and I just was so inspired by working with the students and faculty at Sargent. And so I decided that this is where I wanted to do all of my professional development. And so that's why I stayed.
Fabulous. I can only imagine what it was like. It just back then, and I guess just a really quick follow-up question with your theater interest. I mean, most of us know Debbie sings at graduation. When did that first start? Did that start? Did you
So
start?
I've been singing since I've been singing in front of large audiences since I was 9 years old. And but then while I was at BU, I took a folk song and social history course. For those of you who may remember, Dr. Tony Barron, and he said, Deborah, you need to start singing. And so in the class, he encouraged us all to sing. And that's where I met the two women that I started my traditional folk music group with. And so actually, I'm still singing with Anne Marie, and we've been singing now for 34 years together.
Wow.
And so for the last few years, because of obvious reasons, we haven't been singing professionally, but we do still sing when we can. And we are best friends. And I was there at the birth of all three of her children. And I am now friends with them as adults as well. So it has been an incredible, incredible journey. And we've actually held concerts at Sargent College. And students have attended, and they really, when we used to sing, we used to do a lot of what I call wench type songs, drinking songs. Students really liked those.
So when you first began your career, what were some of the back in, late 70s, early 80s, what were some of the student concerns that they came to you with back in late 70s, early 80s?
The PET program was the largest program, and students would come in and say, I don't know if I can do this. I just don't know if I can handle this program. That was a big, that was big, because at that time, getting your degree in PT was in 4 years. You did it in your undergraduate years. And I can't even imagine what that must have been like, because you basically were a grad student starting, at the in your junior year. And so it was just, to me, amazing. So I did a lot of support with those students. Another concern was, what can I do with a health science degree? Clinical exercise physiology, or and the speech program. The students who went into that pretty much knew they wanted to go on in speech, language and hearing sciences, but the health science, human phys areas, I and a lot of them felt that they were supposed to know what they wanted to do with the rest of their lives, by the end of their junior year, and if they didn't, there was something wrong with them. Um, and another thing that a lot of students would talk about is, um, there wasn't as much aid given out when I first started at BU, so a lot of students had to work, some 20, 30 hours a week just to, stay in school. So that was a major issue for some of them, and just supporting them through that, was, sometimes pretty profound conversations. So.
It's so interesting to hear that. I mean, for those of you that aren't knee deep in our world right now, our freshmen and sophomores are registering this coming weekend. And it's so interesting to hear our health sciences students, what am I going to do with this degree? The PT students, can I really make it through this program? So 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, a lot of the concerns, it sounds like, were the same, and, obviously financial concerns now are a little different, but just really interesting to hear that, even 40 years later,
Mhm.
a lot of the concerns are still the same. And, we've got very successful alumni here. They're probably saying, yeah, I was that PT student that said, can I really make it through this program?
Mhm.
So when you first began your career, most of us know Sargent at 635 Com Ave. Where was Sargent before this?
One University Road. So it's where the BU Academy is. And we held the graduation ceremonies in Sargent Gym until we were bursting at the seams and couldn't do it anymore. Yeah. um, and yeah, and what was hard about that was that Sargent was spread out all over the university. So you didn't have all of the departments in one school. Health science, or in human phys, speech, they were on Cummington Street.
Wow.
And yes, so PT, OT, and rehab counseling were at the old Sargent building. And yeah, so it was hard because we were all spread out. So when we moved to 635 Com Ave, it was so nice to be under one roof. I think the one thing that we missed was the academic services center was, you walked into the room and then the little offices were off that room, but we really were, just one big unit. And so coming to 635 Com Ave and having our individual offices outside of the ASC office, that was a little tough. That was a little tough. So
So Jenna Watts just commented part of PT classes were in the School of Hospitality building.
oh, that's right. Some of the labs, Jana, I think. Yes. Oh. Mhm.
So what have you seen, Deb, just over your career is just the biggest area of growth?
The enrollment of the undergraduate population doubled and then tripled. That was major area of growth. And that it was very exciting in some ways to see that type of growth and to see some of the other programs growing, like human physiology. I mean, I can say it to this group. The pre-professional office way back in the 80s would not even allow students to consider a transfer to human physiology to go to medical school. They were, told to go either into biology or chemistry in CAS. And Susan Kandarian, God bless her. She's a professor in human phys. She marched over there and just showed them facts, and they decided, but then that, oh my gosh, human physiology is a great major for students who want to go to medical school or PA school or dentistry. And all of a sudden, it was like this exodus from CAS came over to human phys. And I think Sargent didn't quite know how to deal with it initially, because I was used to only getting a handful of transfer students. And now all of a sudden, the transfer population exceeded, the population that came in as first year students. Then Eileen O'Keefe, she started the health science program, and students started hearing about that and wanted to join that program even before we had started it and created all of the courses in that program. And so now those two are the major undergraduate programs, which shows a shift in the number of students who want to take their time to explore before they make a decision about which way they want to go into healthcare. So I'd say that was there. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Yep. And they can, as you know, advising right now, they continue to grow. The transfers come in almost daily.
I know.
Into Sargent. I was saying to Debbie before we went live, I'm really going to miss a student sitting down in my office and saying, I met with Debbie and she came up with this great plan. So I'm going to graduate on time and I'm going to be able to take all of my pre-med requirements and I'm going to take a gap year and work. And then I'm going to go to medical school. And they do. But just those few words. And I sat down with Debbie and just, the warmth and the joy in their voice. I'm going to miss those. And I met with Debbie and now I'm telling every single student, I'm like, that plan she put together for you, save that for the rest of your life. That's the best piece of paper you were ever going to receive. So getting back on track. How is student advising? So you sit down with students and you create these amazing plans and every students graduate on time. But you're also, and I'm guilty of walking into your office, Debbie, I have a question and I don't know who else to ask. You're an advisor to us as a faculty, you're advisor to students. How has that changed? Like how have concerns changed over the years that students have, that faculty have?
I think one of the things that has been hard is because, yes, the fact that we are bursting at the seams with enrollment is great, but it's also made it very difficult to get to know the students well. And so when I make out those plans, I really do try to get to know the student to find out what it is that they really want to do, and how do they want to get there? Do they want to supplement with professional experiences, because there seems to be a lot more pressure, to either become an EMT or to work in research or, to become a medical scribe or, become a certified nursing assistant. So, there's a lot more pressure on these students. And so what you try to do is foster connections, so that the students do not feel isolated, do not feel as if they're being left out. And so I think when it comes to advising, you look at the whole picture. You look at, okay, how can we connect them to, Sargent College? One of the things is to have the traditions, whether it be the rose banquet or having the transfer welcome where the students get their yellow rose and take the petal off of the rose and put it into the box, the class year box, and then at the end of their senior year, they scatter the rose petals, as they go off into their, directions, to offer the opportunity to have a peer mentor, so that they have a student in their corner from the moment they first come into Sargent. Whether they use them or not, it depends. Some, the relationship that's forged between the peer mentor and mentee lasts a lifetime. Alumni who come back and say, I still talk to my peer mentor, and we're really good friends. Having alumni come back, and fostering those connections. Also offering workshops, to really connect the students with BU and what's going on and how to navigate yourself through the system. So advising isn't just simply sitting down anymore and talking with an individual. It's really looking at, what matters not only to the individuals but the groups. And I think the biggest challenge is when students isolate themselves, because we cannot always reach out to them if we don't know what's going on. So that's, I think, one of the major issues. Yep. Yeah.
So what advice would you give to high school students right now? Early decision applications came in on November 1st. What advice would you give to a high school student now that's considering a rehab profession?
I would say you really need to enjoy studying the sciences and not be daunted by the challenge of studying those sciences, and learning how to study effectively, because oftentimes you're coming in at the top of your class from high school, and when you start and your grades are not reflecting those A's that you got, you feel this sense of disappointment and disillusionment and what do I do now? And part of it is recognizing that you need to learn how to study effectively. You need to also learn time management skills. And if you can learn to do these things before you even walk through the door, in a college, that's very important. The other thing that I say is you really have to want to help people, and help people in, not only beneficial ways, but life-altering ways. So that means you really do have to know the material extremely well in order to counsel somebody through a therapeutic program. I would tell them, build confidence and skills that will stand by you in any situation. By getting involved in community service projects, activities that matter to you, where you're working directly with people, volunteering at local hospitals, clinics, food banks, trying to put yourself in leadership positions if it's possible, just so you know what it's like to run programs. And because the more experience you have in developing these skills, the more you'll be able to keep things in perspective. And I think perspective is really key. So that's what I would start with.
Great. Did you ever go on admissions talks? That is the perfect answer for high school students.
No, but this is something interesting. Elsa Abele, who used to be a professor in the speech department, she used to work in the Burlington school system, and she knew that I had gone through the Burlington school system. And the middle school teachers wanted people to come in to talk about the skills they felt they should be teaching students to be productive, to be successful. And so what was really strange is going back and seeing a few of my teachers sitting there that I had had in middle school, and telling them what I thought. And it was pretty powerful to sit there. And yeah, so interesting.
Yeah, a great talk for middle school students before they even get into high school. So this actually came in from one of our attendees tonight. The challenges and opportunities Sargent students face today has likely changed over your lengthy career. How have you and the larger Sargent community adapted to meet the changing needs of its students? In learning from the past, what is your advice to the Sargent community to best support its students today? And how do we prepare students for the opportunities and challenges of tomorrow?
Was an excellent question, whoever posed that. Students are overwhelmed by life. That's, they're overwhelmed, they're excited, they're sometimes the rug is pulled out from underneath them. Sometimes they are just incredibly inspired. And so I feel that what I said in my previous question was trying to build the connection so that students do not feel isolated, and do not feel stigmatized, do not feel discriminated against, and trying to build an advising model that really is collaborative. And the dean's message just talked about that, is really focusing on, team building and collaboration when it comes to advising. And I think, we really do try to build those connections. And as I said, one of the things that, we discovered, actually way before they do the FY 101 now, the first year experience seminars that CAS started. We started the HP 150 way back in the, I would say 1999, 2000, where what we do is we really want to have the first year students all together. So they see themselves as a class, they have that identity. And then really, introduce them to all of the resources within the university that's there for them. One of the things that we felt was extremely important was to have a sophomore be the teaching assistant for that class so that they could give their perspective. And so that, there's another connection the students can feel. As I said, having alumni come back and talk with the students, I can't think of a more rewarding, empowering way for students to meet with, those who actually were in, their shoes. And it's so, it just fills my heart when I see, the students, like an alum will say, so and so, reached out to me and I'm able to offer her a job, or, I'm really helping her through her first year of graduate school. And, I'm thinking those are the connections that are just so important. And then, when students go to faculty members and say, I'm really interested in your research. I know I'm just a sophomore, but is there any way I can work in your lab? And to be able to, foster those connections. And those are the types of things that are just so important, to keep advising going. And, to encourage students to do what they want to do, but tell them to be realistic about what they want to do, and show them exactly what they're trying to do. That's one of the reasons why I, do those academic plans, is when students come in and say, I'm interested in doing a dual degree and doing this minor and maybe studying abroad, can we see if this is possible? And knowing the curriculums well enough to be able to help students put something together. They may not get everything that they want, but I would say on the whole, they will get at least two things that they want. And I think that, my feeling about what would be helpful as an even better advising model at Sargent, we don't oftentimes get to meet with students on a regular basis, the same students. So, only students who seek us out, or they try to, get involved in some of the things that we're advisors to, like the Honor Society or peer mentors or Dean's House. Well, we really get to know those students well. But I think what is something to consider is to actually have small teams of advisors. So, a few faculty members, a professional academic counselor, Roz, Heather, myself, or whoever is going to take my place, peer mentors, a couple of peer mentors, so that we actually are working with a small group of, well, I shouldn't say small, I would say 200 to 400 students, with that specific group, but that we're following them all the way through, because that will possibly be a way to cut down on their isolation, because we will be in touch with them a lot more and will know when something is up. Now we kind of scramble when we get, the student is having a medical emergency, the student is depressed and not coming to classes, and or the student just had a death in the family, and so it's Jana. So there are about 1,300 undergrads. Yep. So that, to me, if we could do it, if we could just brainstorm about a model like that, so that, because that was the one thing that was so wonderful when, before the enrollment tripled, was that we got to know the students well. We got to know them very well. And, even the ones that we didn't get to know as well, we did know them because the other students would drag them to things. Now there are so many of them that, it's hard to have that real sense of community. The big picture, absolutely.
I think one of the things that's really nice is, when you do create that plan, every student does have a faculty advisor. And, they're required to meet with us at least once a semester to get their advising code. We don't email it to them. You have to come in and you have to meet with us, which is amazing. And I think the other thing, that just some of the behind the scenes that I don't think people are aware of is if a student is in crisis, if something happens, how quickly we mobilize, how quickly an email is sent out, and we literally have a team together, I would say within minutes. And just, and I felt this, like, you're never alone when you're at Sargent. You always have somebody. And when you need something, there's always someone there for you. Whether it's unfortunately, a lot of our students lose grandparents, or older loved ones in their undergrad. And the way we mobilize to get accommodations for papers and exams, and you're involved and we're involved, that was so surprising to me how quickly we all come together.
Yeah.
And that every student really, they're an individual, they're not a number. You're a person at Sargent that's always supported. And, I think a lot of faculty have learned that from you and used you as a role model. You're good. I can attest, your door's always open. You might have 50 things going on and you walk in, Debbie, I have a question. And you would never know you have 50 things going on right now. You're like, sure, come on in and sit down. Do we need to shut the door? I'll never forget those words.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
So when students come in to meet with you and they have no idea what they want to do with the rest of their life, how do you manage that? Like what?
I love when students come in and they're really not sure what they want to do. And I just start with, well, tell me about yourself. Tell me what you like to do. Tell me what you like to study. And, those are the types of things that, I want to promote self-awareness, getting students to really think about the decisions they make, how they make them, and to value them, to value their experiences and not be afraid to just try different things. Just saying, what is it that you're interested in getting involved in at BU? What class have you liked so far? And what experiences have you had outside of BU that really had an impact on you? And that that's where I start. And I swear every time I hear what they're saying, they don't value enough the experiences they've already had. And so I affirm that right away. And I said, it's now time to really just take a moment and recognize you've already done a lot. And so the reasons why, you're, confused about what to do is because you've put yourself in a few different situations where you could see yourself doing a lot of different things. And that's great. So the whole idea of affirming them and, recognizing that, they put themselves in situations where they gained valuable experience that they're not even paying attention to until, you actually point it out to them. And, which is great. The students, even the students who say they know what they want to do, I will challenge them and say, so why? Well, I've always wanted to do it. Well, but why? I mean, what experience have led you to think about it and, confirm that you want to keep, moving in that direction? And then I tell them, they're like, why are you asking me all these questions? And I said, well, I'm curious and I care, but you have to learn how to answer these questions because you don't want to get to writing your essay for a grad program and, saying these things for the very first time. You want to have a really good sense of what you're doing when you finally make the decision to do it. So I think, if they say, well, I don't know, that I've done anything in healthcare. And I said, well, what else have you done? What skills did you learn? And so it's really a comprehensive conversation and a follow-up conversation and I may know an alum who has been in your shoes and had the same interests as you. And I think it would be nice if you just reached out to them. And I've done that so many times. And those who followed through with it were, yeah, it was a great experience for both involved.
So I have to, and I don't know how easy or hard this is going to be, and there may be more than one, but favorite memory at Sargent. And just, I mean, thinking back, Dean George Mckechnie, Dean Talbot, Dean Jetty.
There are so many memories, but I think the thing that I will say, the extraordinary friendships I have forged while at Sargent with the students, the alumni, the faculty, and staff members. I mean, Lucia is here. My friend Bob Shiwak is here. Jana is here. Ifat, I mean, I can't even begin. Liz, oh my gosh, Mary, I can't see the second page, but it's just, my experiences, I meditate, and one of the things that you learn when you meditate is to be fully in the present moment. And when you are able to do that, it is truly embracing the fullness of life. And when I look at some of these faces that are sitting here, I just feel that's exactly what I got when, I worked with all of you. It was just absolutely, a celebration. Even when the work was hard, sometimes we worked extremely hard to get things off the ground, but we did it, and it was just wonderful. I think watching how, students have put their vision into practice. And, I look at Isla Briggs came back a few years ago. She was an OT student, and she had a vision when she was an undergraduate, to start a camp, where for people who had various disabilities, to just involve them in activities that would allow them to embrace each other, embrace life. And I found out that there was a documentary made about that camp, and that that it was on the short list before going to the Academy Awards for Best Documentary. And, to invite her to come back to do a screening of that film and to have her talk to the students, it was just a breathtaking moment, to have her come back. Also, Dean George Mckechnie was, he was such a foundation for keeping the traditions alive in Sargent, but also starting new traditions at BU. And, George was, he was the dean of Sargent for many years during the turbulent 60s. He knew Howard Thurman and Martin Luther King Jr. Very well. And he started with Catherine Kennedy, who is now the director of the Howard Thurman Center, the seeds of the Howard Thurman Center called Common Ground. And so, George came to me and said, I need students, to help me, design this center. And, we want to have a ceremony and invite somebody who, is so inspiring. And so, that was the beginning of the Howard Thurman Center. And the person who came to speak was Maya Angelou.
Wow.
I have never, and I was in the front row, and I have never, ever been so inspired by being in somebody's presence as I was being in her presence. Wow. It was, I felt that, there was a divinity in her that was just, it filled the entire BU, because just a remarkable human being. And to see the students so deeply affected by her, so deeply committed to starting Common Ground that became the Howard Thurman Center, and to see, George's idea become, just this amazing program. It's very exciting. And even starting up the programs with the Sargent student focus groups, when a student came to me and said, we want to start an honor society, and I said, okay, what do you want to do? How do you want to do it? And what are the guidelines? What's your constitution? Liz, Anne-Marie Muller came to me and said, we need to start a peer mentor program. And I said, okay, all right, how are we going to do this? And, talking with the students and building these programs, and, having Jana and Renee being, the presidents of the peer mentor program. And, Ifat and Mary, and when I think about all of those things that we started that are still ongoing, to me, that says so much about the community. The Honor Society, last year I see Grace, I see Mehar, and Alicia, I saw her here as well. Last year, it was a hard year for all of us, and yet, the Honor Society officers and I, we would have these officer meetings, and it wasn't just about the planning for the Honor Society. It was just, empowering ourselves as women, working together, and, coming up with themes that resonated with, everybody. I will never forget that. It was so inspiring to work with all of you. And yeah. So, yeah.
Those are phenomenal memories. And I think as I listen to you just reflect on your time in programs that have started and your experiences and the people that you've worked with and the students you've inspired, when you think about, what do students want to do with the rest of their life? One of the things I think we take from you is the joy you found in your work.
Mhm.
The way you come across talking about it, it doesn't sound like work. It sounds more like an enjoyable hobby than it sounds like work. And, I hope that for everybody. I love what I do too. And I think with your energy and really taking the time to sit down with students and ask them what experiences they've had, and listening to their voice and making them known, let them know that their voice is important,
Mhm.
and just showing your joy in your job,
Mhm.
it's inspirational.
Mhm.
So I want to ask this question, but I don't want to ask this question because I don't want you to retire. What are your plans for retirement?
Well, first, I'm going to be uh, looking to different areas to move to because I'm going to sell the house. And I'm looking in Western Mass because Anne Marie, my singing partner, is out there. I will be looking in the Gloucester Rockport area because I love that area very much. And I will also be looking, at some of you who knew me well, knew that I fell in love with New Mexico. And there is still a part of me that wants to spend some time there. So I will definitely be purging a lot of things and downsizing and and figuring out where I want to, as Jane Fonda said, where I want to have my third act. um, but then what I really want to do is I do want to become certified in as a meditation instructor and possibly a spiritual director. I will tell you that at one point I was accepted to the School of Theology to go to divinity school, and I couldn't. My job meant too much to me, and most of the classes were during the day when I met with students, and I decided I couldn't do it. But one of the things that one of the counselors there said to me, "You already minister. You don't have to get the degree to do it."
Amen.
And it's not, and I certainly, it don't do it in a religious way, but I definitely have a spiritual feel for, every program that I, help put together, every student that I work with. I care about them, body and soul. So, and I'm going to be traveling. Um, One of the things is Anne Marie's daughters, Ingrid and Rachel. I'm very, very close to them. And they want to know why I love New Mexico so much. So we will be taking a trip. And yes, Jenna, I want to come to North Carolina and I want to go to the what festival? What festival is it? It's the Bluegrass Festival. It's in April, and I could never go there in April before. I'll think of the name of it. Um,
Merrill
yes,
Fest.
yes, the Merle Fest. Very good. Um, and I I am going to, if I get my passport in time, I'm going to India in February because my roommate is getting married, and I have watched the blossoming of this relationship, and it's been beautiful. It's been beautiful to watch this, and I can't think of anything more celebratory than to be there when they decide to be married. So I'm hoping that I can go.
And you promised to send pictures.
I will send pictures. That's the only other thing that I love, taking photos, and I like making calendars and photo books of my photos. So I will be definitely doing that. Um, and yeah.
Fantastic. I'm going to keep smiling so I don't cry. I want to read a few comments that have come in. Julia wrote, as a current peer mentor, I can tell you it's cherished by students. We're so thankful for this program and all your work. And Kristen Tran second that. And Elizabeth said, sorry, Elizabeth's comment just went away. Embedding some of us most are mentoring in our lives today. Such a great experience. And I want to finish with one comment that was sent in at registration. Debbie, I don't have a question. I have a huge thank you. On my second day of Sargent, freshman year, we met because I wanted to study abroad. Instead, you said my major was incorrect and I should be an OT. I had never heard anything about OT. 3 days later, I met with Elsie and I was in. I have had the most amazing career and professional life thanks to you. You listened and helped us find our best selves. Thank you. Be well. I think every single one of us can share a story like that. But I did want to save some time for anybody else. Those were my questions. I was a little selfish tonight. I did include the ones that people had emailed in with registration. So I was able to ask every question of you that I wanted to, and I know this is not it. You're stuck with me forever. But I wanted to, if anybody has any questions, feel free to either raise your hand so you can unmute yourself, or feel free to type them into the chat, even if it's just, a word of thanks and how Debbie has changed your life.
I mean, I feel like saying you all have changed my life. You all have just enhanced the quality of my life, faculty and students alike. What I say at the senior awards, I so sincerely mean that, is that you renew my faith in humanity, and keep me positive just because of who you people are. It's wow. So
Thank you. We're having hearts come in.
I'd love to say a word of thanks to Debbie, if that's okay.
Please.
So Debbie, thank you so much for everything that you've done for me from freshman year, walking into your room, saying that I wanted to transfer to Sargent, coming from biochem, hearing all these stories. I was like, I was that person, or, I felt that way. I felt touched by Debbie in that way too. And this entire hour it's been so great listening to everything that you've done for everyone, but also hearing your words of encouragement and advice and insight. I always love it when you talk about meditation, because it makes me feel like, you should breathe, you should be calm, you should be centered like Debbie is. And so Grace and I were also talking before this, and we were talking about how grateful we are to have met you, and have not only met you, but worked so close. I'm trying to I don't want to cry, but we're very, very grateful. I hope you know that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Behar. It's so nice to see you. So nice to see you.
So nice to see you too. I have the, how you gave us a quote and a picture that you took on a little easel thing. I have that up on my desk at home, and I always look at it, and it feels so nice. I feel like I have a part of you with me always.
Well, you guys are always with me as well.
Comment came in now that I have tears coming in. I can't imagine navigating. Now my voice is going to crackle. I can't imagine navigating the early Sargent years without Debbie's help. You and Sargent are synonymous in my mind. Sorry, now I'm getting, this is awful. But it isn't awful. It goes to show what an impact you've had on so many people. We're better clinicians and humans for our time with you. Debbie has kept me connected to Sargent in so many ways. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, man. I'm looking at all your faces and just remembering, just beautiful moments that I've had with all of you. And I can't thank you enough. Um, Thank you.
That's
1991. Wow. Oh my gosh. Kathy McCarthy, was that your last name when you were at Sargent?
No, it wasn't. It was Prince.
Okay, yes, I remember. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Long time ago.
oh, yeah.
But
Oh,
yeah, and I'm still in touch with Corey Tobin
yes, yes,
and Sarah Campbell and Denise Warburton.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
we see each other regularly.
Very nice. Well, say hello to them.
Oh, I will. I definitely will. And I want to wish you well.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
I
somebody
just want to
submitted
say,
yeah.
sorry, I just want to say, Debbie, this is completely blowing my mind right now. I mean, if I close my eyes, you sound exactly the same. You talk the same. It's just so calming, and you're always such a peaceful presence in my life. And the time that I spent at Sargent was made infinitely better because of you. And you are so gentle and sweet, but you have a wicked sense of humor. And whenever I would hear something sassy come out of you, I would kind of say, oh my gosh, I can't believe she said that. So still waters run deep. I don't know. But best of luck. Debbie, you're one of a kind. And my mom just happened to walk in and visit. I was like, do you remember Debbie Claar? And she says, oh, yes, my mom remembers.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my
best
gosh.
of luck.
Where are you now?
I'm in Baltimore.
And are you practicing?
So I was practicing speech until till 2015. And then I switched, and now I do health IT. So now I do electronic medical record development, clinical informatics. So I get to help the PTs, the OTs, the speechies, everybody do that. Yeah.
You were always really good at administration. So good for you. Good for you.
You said student academic support service. I was like, oh, the SAS office. I remember the SAS office. But I hope that you'll be checking your work email, because I did send you an email before you disappear.
Oh, thank
so maybe
you.
We can keep in touch out
Thank
there.
you. All right, good. Thank you. And Jana, I will come to North Carolina to see you. Oh.
Debbie, I just want to say I was driving home before, and Debbie and I have had a lot of adventures together. But when you brought up Tony Barron, remember that I took that class too, and we both had a big crush on him.
Yeah. Oh yes.
So that was like I was driving home just laughing about that.
Yeah.
So and I have my Twin S award and my honor auxiliary award in my home office. I look at them every day and said, I wouldn't have any of this without Debbie Claar. So you know how I feel about you. And I was so happy we got to see each other a couple of years ago when my son was applying to you.
Yes.
So
Oh, Mary. Yes.
You changed my life in so many ways.
Thank you. So Liz just asked a question, and actually this is one of my favorite experiences that I didn't talk about, is when we used to take the freshmen to Sargent Camp. And when we first started doing that, and the four student orientation leaders would go with us as well, and we'd stay overnight, and we went square dancing and everything. But the whole team building work that happened, some students hated it and most just really embraced the experience, and I think it really bonded the freshman class. And no, we do not do it anymore, because not enough freshmen wanted to do it, and it was a major expense. So, but boy, we did have fun.
Debbie, this is Lorraine. I just want to say
Hi,
it was a
Lorraine.
blessing meeting you and working with you during my time as president of the SCAA. You
it's great
were
working
a
with you.
big help to me when I kind of flubbed up a few things. And I was so happy when you joined our team on the board because you made a big impact for everything. And thank you, and the best in your retirement, and enjoy, enjoy, enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to be on the board because I enjoyed it very much. Mm. Oh. So yes, thank you all for coming. I will carry you all. And if anyone wants to reach out to me, I would be happy to see any of you again, and keep in touch with you, and even write you recommendations if you need recommendations, because an opportunity to gush about you, I'm happy to do it. And I'm so proud of all of you, faculty and students alike. I don't think you know quite how remarkable you all are, but I do. And it's just been one hell of a ride, and I'm sad that I am stepping down, but I'm ready, and I'm happy to take my my next step forward.
And just as when we all left Sargent, we all come back. And I hope that, as we graduate, I guess maybe it's like it's your graduation retirement.
Do I get a doctorate?
If I could give you an honorary degree
An
right
honorary
now,
degree?
you would be the first person I would give an honorary degree to. But just as we come back, I mean, Sargent will always be your home. And a place that you made home for all of us. And, I do hope you come back. And, I know personally, I'd love to have lunch with you.
Yeah.
If you're ever in the area, and I would drive anywhere to have lunch with you.
Oh, I'd be happy to come back and have lunch.
Or come back for alumni weekend and just reminisce. So we are not going to say goodbye. We're going to say we will see you later. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for touching our lives. And chapter 3 is going to be amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thanks, Deb.
Bye.
Everyone.
Bye.
Hi, Debbie.
Bye. Bye.
See all the notes.
Audrey. Oh my gosh. Bob. Oh.
So
Jenna.
Debbie,
Audrey. Oh my gosh.
I have to say, I'm just going to interrupt here. It's been a crazy downstairs, but I really have to say thank you. I was the one that came to you on day 2. And honestly, I will cry my heart out in a minute. But I think of you so often. You'd have no idea how often I bring in my inner Debbie Claar. And when I'm talking to students about their careers being an OT, you're the first person that comes to mind. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. Yes, and I remember that conversation, actually. Yeah, it's so nice to see you again. Oh, wow.
Agreed.
Where are you now?
So I'm in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I am a program director at Thomas Jefferson University.
Wow. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. That's great.
I had wonderful training. I think if it wasn't for Sargent, I honestly, my career is so varied and got so many experiences. And when I would say, or they found out I was from Sargent, it was like, yes, you can go do that. So that's because of you.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you. Wow. Congratulations.
Thanks.
And Anna Dean Scott, she just passed away. So yeah. what a spitfire she was. She was great. She was great.
Yeah.
She helped you guys get through neuroanatomy. Do you remember that?
Oh, do I remember neuro? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
but thank you for letting me know. I'll definitely reach out to some old faculty that I still touch
Yeah.
base with.
All right.
Um,
Well,
Well, good luck
thank
in your chapter 3.
thank you. Thank you.
All
Bye.
right. Stay well.
Yes, you too.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And Debbie, I was just going to say, absolutely, you are welcome anytime, even if it's not Merle Fest. They actually just had it in October this year because
Oh,
of
did they?
COVID.
Okay.
So
Okay.
hopefully I'll let you know next time it's coming around. I'd love to join you there. And Asheville's
Okay.
beautiful to visit too.
All right. Yeah, I would love to see you again. And Jana Renee Kalesa, she called me, but I haven't called her back yet. So I'm going to call her back this weekend.
Tell her I said hello as
Oh,
well.
I will.
And you
will
have
certainly
to see Gabby. She's gotten so big since the last time you saw her. She's
Yeah.
only 10 and a half now.
Oh
So-
my gosh.
And
Oh
she
my
still has the
gosh.
little monkey you gave her when we met you that time.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
Yeah.
great. That's
So-
great. That's great.
But
And you still have your practice and
I'm still practicing. Yes. Thinking of maybe going out for a second career here sometime soon, but we'll see.
oh, well, I think we should
You-
talk.
I think we should. You inspired me to get to where I was, so we may need to.
I don't think your mother ever forgave me because I encouraged this woman. She was in the PT program and she said, this isn't what I want. And she said, I think I may want to go to medical school, but I also am interested in the School of Hospitality.
It was because of those labs we had over there and
Yep.
in their building. And so sure enough, I switched out second semester, junior year from PT into the School of Hospitality Management. And we figured it out so that I could go abroad and still graduate in 5 years instead of 4 with 2 degrees. So-
And then she moved into the field of hospitality and realized that she wanted to go to medical school.
Yeah, then I ended up in medical school. So crazy, crazy world, but you certainly were inspirational and a part of all of that. And I especially will miss all the times that we spent outside of work going to listen to you sing or somebody else sing or having dinners or lunches or.
That's right. That's right.
Yes. So,
Oh my gosh,
and
yeah.
Marie, which, I remember.
Yeah,
many-
she remembers
many
you
times.
too.
So
Yeah.
hopefully I'll get back up there sometime soon. Thank you for hosting this tonight, Kelly. And
You're welcome. Thank you for, I mean, this is literally like the best hour I've had all year.
I would agree. So, and I will see you soon.
All right, Jana.
Good luck. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
All right.
Hi, Lucia. And who is Peg to Merit?
I don't know, and somebody's trying to get in. I think we should end
Yeah.
and we'll talk another time. How's that?
Hi, Doodles.
Hi, Lucia. How are you,
Hi,
honey?
Doodles. I'm good. I'm good.
Hi, Lucia.
Hi, Kelly. It's nice to see you too.
Oh my God. When I saw your name, I was like, Lucia's here.
Couldn't miss something like this, you know.
I
It's a big
know.
event.
Lucia, I will call you.
All right, honey.
All
All
right.
right. Good to see you, Lucia.
I'll stay.
Thanks, Deb. Bye,
Good
everyone.
night.
Bye. Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much
Thanks, Deb.
for offering this. This was a real gift for me.
This
Thank
was great. Yeah, thanks, Kelly.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I'll see you guys soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.